some aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha's life. Shakyamuni Buddha was the original teacher of Buddhism, and so it's from his teachings of 45 years that we learn Buddhism. So it's important to, when we know Buddhism, to know about Shakyamuni Buddha's life too. So it becomes very important to understand the struggles that he went through in order to teach the teachings for 45 years. So today we're going to go through some of his life story, and we're going to read a little bit from this book as well. It's called The Story of Buddha, a graphic biography by Hisashi Ota. And you can see there's some nice drawings in the book, and it goes, a lot of the main topics of his life are included in this. So it's a great book for anybody who wants to learn about his life and to learn about his teachings too. So we'll be using this book today, so please keep it handy. Keep it near you. So, Shakyamuni Buddha, let's start off. So today's presentation outline, I want to give you a little outline about what today will contain. We will have a PowerPoint presentation, and we will have a short movie clip from the movie The Little Buddha. We will be reading this book, like we said, and we will take some time for discussion as well. So some of the categories that we will cover today, of course, we will go through his life, and the other topic is the 3 wishes, the 4 gates, and then leaving the castle and ascetic practices, and attaining Buddhahood and his teaching for 45 years. But mainly we'll be focusing on the 3 wishes and the 4 gates. That's what we'll be focusing on today. So let's get into it. And if you have any questions during the talk, you can feel free to put your hand up and interrupt me. So Shakyamuni Buddha, for those of you who don't know, was born in India 2,600 years ago. So here is India. It's a very, very big country in south of Asia. And he was born in the north part of the country. You can see where it says Nepal up here. I think this was, a long time ago, this was part of India as well. So somewhere up there in the northern part of India, 2,600 years ago. So this is the big view of India. You can see here is India right there, near the Indian Ocean. Over here is where we are. We are in California, on the west coast of the USA. And over here you have Europe. So it's right in between America and Europe, India. So, and there we have Japan there. So Buddha's life overview. These are some of the places. You probably can't see it on the map, but some of the places where he had his life. So he was born as a prince, Prince Siddhartha, he is known as. So he was not born as Shakyamuni Buddha. He was born as Prince Siddhartha. And the date is April 8th in a place called Lumbini Gardens, and you can see it there on the map. And the castle that he lived in was called Kapila Vastu. And he was born to his mother and father, King Jobon and Queen Maya, and his mother unfortunately passed away when he was a child. Shortly after he was born, she died about a week later, so he was raised with only his father. At the age of 19, he got married. He was very young, and they had one child. The name was Rahula. And age 29, February 8th, was the day that he decided to leave the castle to seek for true happiness. So he didn't leave the castle just to run away from his family and his wife and kid and his responsibilities. Maybe some people might think that. He left it to seek for happiness. That was his purpose, not to abandon his child. He He didn't want a divorce. He was looking for real happiness. So this is the thing that we're going to talk about today. Why did the prince struggle in his early life? He struggled so much with this question of life and happiness that he had to leave behind all the comforts in the castle at a very early age, 29, when he had everything, but he had to leave it all behind to go in search of something that was something meaningful, completely meaningful. The meaning of life, let's say. And then around 6 years later, at the age of 35, on December 8th, he attained the enlightenment of a Buddha, which is the highest level of enlightenment, the 52nd level of enlightenment. And he attained it. And he was the first one to attain this level of enlightenment. He was the first one, and he's been the only one since. There is no one but him since then who has attained this. So he is the special one. And he died at the age of 80 on the 15th of February. So from the age of 35 until the age of 80, that makes 45 years, he taught Buddhism. And his teachings were compiled into more than 7,000 sutras. So that's a lot of teachings. If we want to learn Buddhism, we have to read all these sutras. But that's very, very difficult. So we have to find a different way. Yes, 7,000 sutras, that all his lectures were compiled in this time. So there's a question, why do we live? What is the meaning of life? The young prince was always thinking of suffering and meaning. It consumed his mind. Why did he live? So I want to read from the book, The Story of Buddha, on page 8. And let's investigate this and see what it is that was bothering him from an early age. So I'd like two people, if they would like to, we'll have a role play with the prince and the king, and then maybe somebody else too. But I need two people. Who would like to volunteer? It can be a woman too. So we have Vita and Rocio. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go. Page 8. Go ahead.
So I'm the king. Where could he have gone?
The crown prince.
Oh, you read from the right side? Yeah, it's down. Oh, it's a different page from here.
So it's page, it's page 4.
Oh, chapter 1. The crown prince looks on at this fertile land. Thanks to the efforts of our people and the wisdom of your rule. Oh, this is yours.
Well, how about this copy?
This one, Yuichi, narrator.
There will be another bumper crop this year.
Oh, thanks to the effort of our people and the wisdom of your rule, Father.
Flattery will get you nowhere, my son.
Mm. Oh. Oh, in the struggle to stay alive, living things kill and eat each other. They live in constant tremor, never knowing when they may be attacked. How pitiful.
Next year I will expand the farmland over there. And where is the crown prince?
Oh,
He was here a second ago. What? Don't just stand there. Find him.
Yeah, sure.
Where could he have gone? The crown prince is old enough to want to act on his own. Hold your tongue. Who is that? What is Siddhartha doing? He seems to be deep in thought.
He looks like an ascetic, one who has left home.
Left home, you say?
The king remembered the strange prediction made at his son's birth.
Well, what do you think of my newborn son, Siddhartha?
Let me have a good look. Somebody.
Oh, this child.
What is it?
This is no ordinary child.
What do you mean?
If he takes the throne, he will become a great monarch of the world.
Of the world?
And if he leaves home, he will attain the highest level of enlightenment.
Leaves home, you say? Could the prophecy have been true?
a message for the king.
What's happening?
I bring word from the border garrison.
The army of the kingdom is fossilized on the march, preparing to attack.
What? They mean to strike during the festival when people are making merry. Outrageous! Hurry and prepare for war.
Father, what is all about? What is this all about?
My son, we are at war. Return to the palace.
Whenever you are ready, join to fray.
Prince.
Good.
Nothing.
Mhm.
Not again.
Not again. So,
Oh, good grief. Time for planting, and all the young men are off to war.
If the battle comes here, the fields will be trampled and there'll be no crop.
Many will die, only the old men will be left.
Our life is hard enough to begin with.
We work and work, but never find ease.
What on earth will become of us?
I wonder.
Why do we have to go through such pain just to live?
oh, the law of the jungle, isn't it only for for beasts? Even among human beings, the strong prey on the weak in order to survive. What difference is there between beast and human? Even for royalty like me, with the country at was there is not at war, there is no telling when the end might come. I live with the fear. Why must we live in suffering and distress? Why do we live?
Okay. So these are the kind of thoughts the prince was having, and was having from an early age. This is kind of maybe made up, it's dramatized, but it shows the point very well that the prince was very, very deep thinker and thinking about the struggles in life and um, the law of the jungle, the weak must be killed, the weak must get eaten, the strong survive. But doesn't that mean suffering for the weak? So the prince was pondering these questions, And then he thought, well, why do we live? Why must we live in suffering and distress? If life is a lot of suffering, why must we continue to live? These were the kind of thoughts he was having. So, was he able to find an answer to these questions? What do you think? Let's continue and see what happened. So his father, the king, wanted the prince to be the next king, of course. He was a son, so he was the perfect person to be the next king. But the prince, like we just read, was consumed with finding an answer to the meaning of life. So it was very different from becoming a king. A king isn't consumed with deep thoughts about the meaning of life. A king has to rule people and be very strong and be very strict and control the country. He doesn't really have time to be pondering deep questions about why he is living. Right? So, but of course, the king wanted Prince Siddhartha to become the next king. But the prince was a very deep kind of person. So the king was pushing the prince, but the prince gave him an answer. And this is called the story, The Three Wishes. So in this, the prince said that he would become the king if his father would grant him 3 wishes. That's all. So this is a king. He's the most powerful man in the country. And when somebody asks him for something, he's like Donald Trump now, right? He can give whatever he wants, unfortunately. We don't have anybody else. But so he has the power to give anything. So maybe the king was very happy. He thought, oh, okay, 3 wishes. Oh, it's very easy. I can give my son this, no problem at all. Maybe that's what he was thinking. But that was until he heard what these 3 wishes were. So let's go and read about what these 3 wishes are. So we get 2 more people, 2 different people to take the role of the king. How about Nobu Sensei? You want to be king? Page 105, please. 105. Sorry? Huh? Wait. 106, yeah, 3 wishes. So we need somebody. Yuichi, can you be the prince?
Oh.
My son again. My son. How was it? Enjoying the party? Ha 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 ha.
Father,
You have done well, my son. In your studies and in your material arts, you have surpassed your teachers.
not at all.
The greatest scholar in the land declared he had nothing left to teach you. So now you can relax and enjoy yourself. All right?
Thank you for your concern, Father.
This is my way of rewarding you. Do you?
Do you still fear that my anxiety will cause me to leave home?
What?
Is that what you are trying to distract me?
With beautiful women, galore, and lavish table. What more could you need?
What I want is something else.
Oh, what is it? If there is anything you want, say the word.
Father,
Don't hold out on me, Siddhartha.
I have three wishes.
What are they?
I still see that they come true, so.
あ、じゃあね。Sorry. What are they? I will see that they come true, so tell me.
First, I want you to prevent me from ever growing old. Second, I want you to see that I never take sick. Third, please see to it that I never die.
Oh, what? What?
If you can grant these three wishes of mine, I will not leave home.
Don't talk craziness. That's impossible and you know it.
Old age, sickness, and death take away all our happiness. I want real happiness, the kind that will make me rejoice that I was born human.
Siddhartha, don't talk madness.
Father,
Have you no inkling of your fatherly concern for you? Act more like a member of this royal family.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the three wishes were not what the prince's father expected, right? Maybe he was expecting some material thing. He wanted build me a castle or give me a position or something else. But then he was told something that completely surprised the king. Three things that were completely unexpected, and he got pretty mad in the story. So just to follow up on the three wishes were he wanted freedom from old age, which means that he didn't want to grow old. And he wanted freedom from sickness, immunity from sickness, meaning that he never wanted to get sick. And he didn't want to die. Basically, he wanted to live forever. So, could the king, even though he was rich and powerful, give these things? No, of course not. That's why he got so angry, because he couldn't fulfill it. He could do anything else for the prince, but to give these was impossible. And of course, like he said in the book, the king was only thinking about the welfare of his son. He was only thinking about his son's happiness, like all parents do, right? All parents think about the happiness of their children. And the king was no different. He wanted the best for his son. But when his son is asking these kind of questions that are impossible to grant, then it's going to make things very difficult for the king. So he was faced with the impossible. Is there any way that we can overcome old age, sickness, and death? What about these things in life are so terrible? Or are they terrible? And what is it that drove the prince to ask these questions? So let's take 5 or 10 minute chat time. Maybe 10 minutes, and you can discuss at your will whatever you like about these three wishes or what we have learned about the prince so far. Okay? Let's break up into two groups. So, but you three, and then three here. Yeah. Yeah, what's going on in his mind up until the next day? What's going on in your mind?
Problems for human life. I think another difficult, or difficult to be able to see this is the three main problems for humankind, the main suffering. If we can think about suffering because we don't have money or because we don't have fame or something material things, but to be able to realize that this is the main suffering from human being, I think it's not easy for a human being to realize. Only someone who has deep, deep thinking, really think deeply. We can think about suffering for material things, but not this is the part of our suffering as a human. That's what I'm thinking. To find these three reasons and to solve the three very difficult questions, which is to find. That's for me.
Really, I can't understand the
See what you said is it is difficult to realize that human suffering all come from those three: old age, sickness, and death. Usually, people think their suffering come from lack of money, or maybe sickness. Maybe people may think I'm suffering because I have serious disease. Uh, mm, so is this difficult to to think, understand that human suffering all come from all the sickness and death? Uh, that's what was just
I think many people don't feel suffering from or getting old and sickness and death.
I'm feeling that it's difficult to find, to think in that way. For human being, it's difficult to realize that is the main problem. It's something we cannot easily to solve, easily
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
resolve. So that's what I am thinking.
Uh,
I think human being, we are more struggle, or we think about material things, about money, about food, about everyday living. But to think deeply about these three main reasons of suffering for human being, for um, average human being, is not easy to realize. That's what of course, all human we suffer for that, but to realize that those are three sufferings for human beings, main suffering for human beings. That's what I am.
so Siddhartha realized that those three are the cause of suffering because he was smart, because he has a lot of wisdom, because he was special. This is a question.
Yeah. Yes, my understanding what you said is many people can't understand this suffering. Whereas suffering come this. Uh-huh. Many people will suffer. Many people suffer lack of money and have no car and small house, something like that. Mm. Because many people now uh, I'm ready. Mhm. Then so, but I have no money. I have no car. I have no house. If they become sick, maybe realize sick is very big suffering than no money. Don't you think so? Yeah, getting older, hmm and have a physical problem, can't work so fast, or back pain or something like that. If getting older, mhm, have a nice car. If they have a nice car, but don't enjoy this car. Yeah, getting older is suffering. Maybe they realize if they become old, become sick, and death. When people realize in future they become this situation. Does it make sense? But they can't realize these things now, just now, when they are young, when they are health, when they are living. But Siddhartha realized these things when he still young, he still health, he still live. Okay? Yes, everybody realize there are most suffering for human being at the end.
At the end.
At the end. But Shakyamuni Buddha realized these things. Mm. He is not yet he is not yet this situation. Mm. It is enlightenment. Buddha's enlightenment. Okay, and Buddha's teaching is very difficult because many people can't understand. There are most suffering for my life. Mhm. Many people only focus present, can't see future. Mhm. Yes, because so teaching is very important and listening is very important. Mm. In Buddhism. Also, religion is very easy to understand because the teaching is you are very you have a suffering because you have no money. If you pray this God, you will get more money. It's very easy to understand because their teaching is a present present problem. Yes, but Buddha's teaching is the problem of future. It's difficult to understand for us. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue.
Mhm.
So, did you all have a good discussion? I could hear a bit around here. I took some notes. But yeah, did you come to any conclusions? Was there a highlight of the conversation? Mm. Mm. Yes, right. So he wanted to find the answer not just for himself, but finding the cause of suffering and unhappiness is not just for himself, but it's for everybody. So it's really important to remember when we hear the story of the prince that the prince was born into the lap of luxury, meaning that he had everything that people today seek. He had wealth, he had fame, he had youth, intelligence, a wife and family. He was blessed with all earthly possessions. Aren't we today and everybody since Buddha looking for these things? Aren't we all looking? Is there anybody who can say they're not? Can anybody put their hand up and say, not me? So, yes, we all want these things. So the prince had all these things from the time he was born. He didn't need to go and seek them. But don't we think that if I have these things, I'll be happy? Don't we have that kind of mindset? So he had wealth, fame, youth, intelligence, he had health, and a family of his own. What else could he want? What else could the young man want? Right? And we are all looking for these things. Everybody, you look around, we're chasing after these things every day in, day out. We're trying to gather them. And when we gather them, we try to gather more of them. So we love these things. So he did not have to worry himself about seeking these things out as we do. So in a sense, he had the luxury of being able to ponder the deep questions in life. People today, we are all worrying about how to live, right? We worry about how to pay the bills, how to keep our job, how to keep the relationship, how to get a relationship, how to manage our health, etc., etc. But the prince didn't have to concern himself about these things, really. He was secure. He lived in security in the castle. So in a sense, he was free to be able to ponder these deeper questions in life. So don't most of us think that we suffer because we lack something? Don't we think so? Let's say we're thinking like this: if only I had money, if my health was better, or if I own my home instead of renting, if I had a car, or if I had a better car, if I had a job, or if I had a better job that gave me more money, if I had a nicer boss, or have my own family, I wouldn't be so lonely. And then we think, then I'll be happy. That's the moment I'll be happy. Don't we think this way? Is there anybody here who can say no? No, nobody's saying no. Yeah. So everybody is thinking this way, teaches Buddhism. We all have these kind of thoughts. If only I had something more, better, bigger, then I'd be happier. But in Prince Siddhartha's case, he had an abundance of everything, an abundance of wealth, an abundance of health, intelligence, material comforts. But still, he wasn't happy. So, if these things were really going to make us happy, then the richest people should be the happiest people in the world. The prince should be the happiest person in the world. But he wasn't. He was morose. He was thinking about deep things, suffering and the law of the jungle. Why don't you just forget about it and just go and enjoy your life with all the pleasures you have? But he couldn't just put these things down for some reason, because he saw the reality of life, that life is painful for everybody. Nobody is free of suffering. Everybody, no matter how rich you are or how poor you are, we all have to suffer. He understood that from an early age. But, so Prince Siddhartha had all these things, but he still couldn't find happiness. So we realized that the cause of suffering must be something else. So he wanted to find out what that cause was. Why do I suffer? And is there a way to overcome that? Is there a way to find happiness that doesn't exist with material things or possessions, the things that we normally seek after? There must be something else. So at the age of 29, the prince left behind the castle, his life in the castle. Why? Because he understood that the happiness in the castle, an abundance of it, was only temporary. It wasn't going to, it would eventually turn into suffering. Wow, that's a big concept. Before I met Buddhism, I never thought about it this way, that our happiness turns into suffering. What do we mean by that? This is something that I want us to discuss after the break. Let's have a 10-minute break.
Part 2 will start in 10 minutes later.